We are just 3 days away from the Week 6 matchup between the Tennessee Titans and the Las Vegas Raiders. And honestly, this is the first time that I can confidently say that I really think that the Titans have a chance this week. Welcome into Titans Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper. And the Raiders, I could call them an absolute dumpster fire. They look bad. They got blown out by the Colts last week. And after the Titans' comeback, I think this is a very, very, very winnable game for Tennessee. We saw what the offense can do, specifically with Cam Ward. Was that his welcome to the NFL coming out party? I think so. A breakout game and a massive, massive comeback game for the Titans, and you could use that momentum to go into Vegas to win this one. So if you can't wait for Sunday's game against Vegas, because finally, you have a tiny bit of hope going into this game. So go down in the comments section, spam your 10s. I want to see all of you Titans fans out there who are still excited for this week's game. Let's just look at what Vegas has done this year. In week 1, they kind of shocked the Patriots, and then ever since then, it's been, what is going on? 20-9 loss against the Chargers. You get blown out by the Commanders with Marcus Mariota. Then against the Bears, you lose on a literal heartbreaking loss, and then you go into the Colts, and it was probably the worst game that you could have possibly played. And honestly, I don't think the Titans have played as bad as what I saw from Geno Smith and the Raiders in that 40-6 loss against the Colts. What I've seen so far, and I've seen the Raiders every single week because I love watching the NFL just as a whole, the team has progressively gotten worse and worse and worse and worse throughout the season. And Geno Smith in week 1, he threw for 260 yards, and since then, it's just like, you get an interception, you get an interception, and you get an interception. And they asked him about it. They asked him about just his play after the Colts loss, and he said it's one play at a time game, and what you do on the previous down does not matter. I mean, it kind of does, because if you throw an interception, it kind of does matter. You got to stay in the moment. You got to execute in the moment, one play at a time. Nothing you did in the last game, last season, last week in practice. None of that stuff matters, man. It's about executing on game day, getting to the game, one play at a time, doing your job every guy. Geno Smith has looked awful. It was coming into the season, he played well with the Seattle Seahawks. It was like, oh, he's rejuvenated his career. They wrote me off. I ain't right back yet. I think that was the line that he had. Well, this season, it has not been good. And I wish this graphic had interceptions on them, but I know how many interceptions that Geno Smith has thrown. He does have a good completion percentage. He has thrown for over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. But you can see that QB rating, 75.6 QB rating. And the interceptions, he has 9 of them. 9. I think he leads the league in interceptions at this point. He hasn't been good. He's a turnover-prone machine. And when you get pressure on him, when you make him try to just kind of force things, which most teams have been doing, when you have to play behind, he looks bad. And the Titans defense can really, really, really take advantage of this weak team. If you look at the stats as a whole, they're one of the bottom in the NFL. The rushing yards. You would think with Ashton Jeanty, one of the top running backs in the NFL draft this past year, would be good. But no, they only have 112. Points per game, they're dead. They're almost dead last. Well, the Tennessee Titans are dead last. Third down percentage, about middle of the pack in the NFL. Yards per game is 322, which is good. But, I mean, if you look at their rushing yards, they're probably not going to be able to rush the ball against the Tennessee Titans with that interior with, guess who? Jeffrey Simmons. Yeah. Jeffrey Simmons needs to take advantage of this weak offensive line. It feels like Geno Smith drops back there, and immediately he sees 4 guys just coming right at him. Pause. Giggity. Yeah. But Jeffrey Simmons, we know how good Simmons has been throughout the entire season. He has been not just a good defensive tackle, he's been the best defensive tackle. And I'm just going to keep showing you this graphic over and over and over until the next week happens, and then we just see how really good Jeffrey Simmons is, just showing that, well, could he possibly be decoy on a bad team? I don't know. But you can see it. 3.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 16 solo tackles as a defensive tackle, and more pressures than any defensive tackle. And now you're going up against a shit offensive line. Ashton Jeanty looks bad because the offensive line can't create any type of holes for him. And they just lose every single week. I mean, we have our Raiders channel, the Raiders Report, and Mr. Mitchell Renz is saying that this team's a dumpster fire. They're already talking about Geno replacements. They're already talking about Chip Kelly replacements for the offensive coordinator. And if Pete Carroll is washed, that's how bad this team is. And I know the Titans' main concern is about, hey, is Brian Callahan worth being the head coach? Should he be the head coach of this team? Well, they gave the play calling to Bo Hardegree, and he's actually been pretty solid. Cam Ward had his best game last week, and I think he's only going to get better. And with the Raiders talking about who's going to be the replacement for Geno Smith, and the Titans are like, we got a pretty good quarterback. We got a franchise guy. I see the light. It's not good right now, but I see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I think the Titans have a really, really good chance to win this game. But you guys go down in the comments section and let me know. Who you got? You got the Tennessee Titans? Type your 10s. Or if you got the Las Vegas Raiders, go type your LVs. I mean, let's be honest here. If you're not a fan of either of these teams, do you really want to be watching this game? It's going to be ugly. It's going to probably be a fun game to watch just because of bad football equals good football. But coming up, I got the injury report and the keys to victory. But first, I got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that is PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. You now have the option to follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, like producer Moose on the ones and twos, who he came up with a lineup, which we'll show in a second, or someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. This was producer Moose's lineup. I kind of like it. I think it might smack, except for I do not think Jalen Hurts is going more on the 196.5 passing yards. I would have took the less on that one. But the rest of it, I like it. More for J.K. Dobbins, Drake May, more for passing yards, and Dak Prescott, more on the passing yards. You can make a lineup just like that when you download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups. Bless you, Producer Moose, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right, so when you take a look at the injury report that we saw come out for both of these teams, and you look at the Titans injury report, there are a ton of players. But there's one good news in particular that you see. With the Raiders, there's a big one on that list, and that's Brock Bowers. But if you go down the Titans, you can see all of that, and you see, oh, look, who's that right there? That is J.C. Latham listed as limited. You could be getting your offensive lineman back. So that's a huge deal. If he could return for week 6, that'd be great. But the bigger one that I'm looking at is Brock Bowers. He is their number one target by far, and I think that's one of the big reasons why the Raiders have been struggling so much, because you can look at Jacoby Myers. You can look at Trey Tucker. You can look at Dante Thorne. Those are good receivers, but they are not Brock Bowers. And Brock Bowers has been dealing with an injury, so he has not been on the field as much as we would like to see if you're a Raiders fan. But you can see why their offense is struggling the way it is. It's that in the offensive line. But now to the keys to victory. Let Geno Smith make mistakes. Let him make mistakes. And if you just let him be Geno Smith and don't let him be anybody else, he's going to make mistakes. In the last 2 games, he has 9 interceptions total. But in the last 2 games that he's played, he has 5 interceptions. He had 2 against the Colts, and he had 3 the week before. All you need to do is just blitz the living hell out of him. Jeffrey Simmons, he's going to get that pressure no matter what. He is going to bulldoze that offensive line and make Geno Smith's life a living hell. But if you can blitz, because I think Draymond Jones and I think that Femi Oladejo is going to get some playing time. So I want them to blitz the quarterback. Maybe even bring down a linebacker blitz. If you can get Cedric Gray blitzing or even Cody Barton. Make Geno make mistakes. Let it happen, and you will see some interceptions happen to, hey, maybe even Roger McCreary or L'Jarius Sneed or Xavier Woods. One of those guys is going to be picking off Geno, and you're going to get the ball in opposite territory. My second key to victory, and this is what happened in the fourth quarter. When the fourth quarter happened in Arizona last week, you got Calvin Ridley the ball, and what happened? You saw major success. Last week he had his best game with Cam Ward. 5 receptions. Not even a lot of catches, but 131 yards. He is that deep threat that you've been waiting for. I like you, Alec A. Manor, but you're a rookie. It's going to take some time. That 26.2 yards per catch is awesome. They had that one play that kind of sealed the deal, throwing 40 yards downfield to Calvin Ridley on the right side. That was perfect. Over the middle on the seam where Cam Ward threw that on a rope. I want to see that a ton more on Sunday against the Raiders. And it feels like it's finally starting to click. The Ward and Ridley finally seem to be on the same page. But there's also another thing. Calvin Ridley might be stepping up his game a little bit because there's trade rumors are swirling all around. There's talks that he could be traded. He could be one of those guys on the trading block. Is it true? I mean, only time will tell, but right now, he is still a Tennessee Titan, and I'd love to see Cam Ward get the ball to Ridley. I also don't want to see him trade because who else is Cam Ward going to throw the ball to? Keep your top weapon on the field. All right, the third one, protect Cam Ward. And this is an obvious one because when you protect Cam Ward, you see what happened last week. They finally had some protection for your quarterback, and he lit up and threw for 265 yards. This is the interior offensive lineman. Peter Skoronski, Lloyd Cushenberry, Kevin Zeitler, all of them had 0 pressures allowed. They pitched an entire shutout. And then on the left side, Dan Moore Jr. has been a little bit better. We haven't seen J.C. Latham yet for a little bit, but it's awesome to see. Hopefully we get to see him more. And then if you look at the pass blocking stats against Arizona, you can see Skoronski had an 89.1. Cushenberry had an 80.4. Kevin Zeitler had an 89.1. Oli Udoh, who's been replacing J.C. Latham with that hip injury that he's dealing with, had a 74.2. And when you have the pass blocking, it's great. And hopefully you get your first-round pick from last year back, and that's J.C. Latham. And I think now that he's playing in that right spot and he's just going to be healthy and going to get those reps, it's going to help Cam Ward get even better because you put all those guys on the interior who have been amazing, it just helps your own teammate. That's what it does. It just helps. And the first couple weeks of the season, the offensive line was horrid. And Cam Ward was on pace to break the sack record. He was on pace to get sacked more than 70 times. 19 sacks in the first 4 weeks. Well, what happened last week? No sacks. And what happened? He threw for 265 yards. He ended up coming back, leading his first career game-winning drive, and come back and won the game. If you protect Cam Ward, he's going to be able to get time, go through his progressions, and find the open man and be successful. So you have to not let him be out there running for his life. And my last key to victory, it's an easy one. Just build off last week. You're going up against a shit team. You're not going up against the big and high and mighty teams that you've been going up against, like the Rams. You're not going up against the Broncos. You're not going up against any of the top teams in the NFL. This is one of the bottom teams. The Titans, they have the momentum. You see how happy they were last week after winning that football game. And the Raiders, they feel like they're at rock bottom. They have no idea what to do. And they feel lost, and they suck. This is a perfect opportunity to go on a little winning streak and take advantage of a really, really bad team because it's a bad team against a bad team. And usually the team that just has that riding that momentum high is going to win this game. So if you do that, if you build off of it, play like you did in the second half of last week's game, you're going to win. That's simple as that. Go ahead, predict the score down in the comments section of Titans versus Raiders in Week 6 for me. Go down in the comments section right now. What do you think? Are the Titans going to pull this one out? Or are the Raiders going to get the W at home? For me, I really think the Raiders are a joke right now. I think the Titans have the momentum, and I think that they are going to get the win 24-20. We got a video coming out after the game is over, having reactions, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as always, tighten up.